do you remember how Woo Byok's two assistants had to come up with an excuse for being at Young Soon's house? Well, their lie was that they were surveying the area because they were soon to become residents, and to support this excuse, in the following days, the two actually bought a plot from Sam-sik's parents and moved into the house. Returning to Young Soon, now faced with the news that she might not be in this world much longer, the lady decided to prepare everything for her son to become the head of the farm. She also arranged for people who could help the protagonist with tasks he currently couldn't manage. Later, Young Soon took her son to buy suitable boots for managing the family business. However, while in the store, Kang Ho got distracted by a dog on the street that looked very much like a neighbor's, leading the protagonist to wander off, moving away from his mother. When Young Soon found him, her son was surrounded by young boys trying to take his phone because he had refused to buy them drinks, as they were underage. At that moment, she realized she also needed to teach Kang Ho how to defend himself, something he had gotten into trouble for in the past. Later, Young Soon showed the protagonist how he should feed the pigs and care for the animals. Focusing on Sam-sik, the man is in a mess after getting involved with dangerous people and owing them a lot of money. As expected, the day came when they demanded payment, leaving Sam-sik with little time to gather the amount to pay off his debt. With the three friends back in town, it wouldn't take long for them all to meet, and when Sam-sik spotted Mi-ju, they sat down to chat and share updates. During the conversation, Sam-sik realized that his friend never stopped liking Kang Ho, and now, despite being in difficult situations themselves, for the first time, both ended up, unfortunately, better off than the protagonist. The following day, things remained challenging for the main family. While Young Soon was taking her son to the city for his recovery procedures, she encountered numerous signs placed by a neighbor, she imagined, stating that the pig farm should end and wasn't welcome in the area. But it doesn't stop there. When mother and son return home, the annoying neighbor is there to test Young Soon's patience, which clearly is at its end when she warns him to stop, or she'll start retaliating. Unfortunately, Young Soon didn't realize this was the least of her problems. Next, the veterinarian for her animals arrives and informs her about an outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease in a nearby village. This means the government will cull all animals within a 5 kilometers radius to prevent the disease from spreading further. In other words, all the pigs on the farm will cease to exist, except for the piglet at the family's house. Now Young Soon really feels she is losing control of everything, and watching Kang Ho despair as the men begin the process is heartbreaking. Although Mi-ju didn't visit the family to offer her condolences, she acted quickly when she discovered that Young Soon had bought a large amount of herbicide from the man she shared space with for her nail salon. Our dear Mi-ju dropped everything to head to the farm. Upon arriving, as mother and son were returning to the location and upon spotting the bag with the products, Mi-ju grabbed everything. She knew Young Soon might use it to end all her suffering. Opening a parenthesis in the story, a few nights earlier, when she returned home, Mi-ju found her son crying because he had to always go to the bathhouse with a woman, and the little one no longer wanted to endure this embarrassment. Therefore, Seo-jin cried, pleading for his mother to ask his father to return and take him to the bath as all the other children did. However, returning to the present, Mi-ju asks Kang Ho to do this for her and even includes Sam-sik to help with the task. The next day, taking advantage of the fact that Kang Ho was with Mi-ju, Young Soon took care of the final details of her departure. To ensure everything was comfortable for her son, now that the farm was closed for some time, she prepaid a clinic to manage the protagonist's full recovery, where he will live. In the next scene, we return to the issue where Woo Byok's men were searching for something in Kang Ho's house. Well, it seems the pair found it, as we now see Woo Byok laughing upon discovering that it was the protagonist who was leaking his secrets to the press, doing so with a lot of planning. He used a flash drive for the articles, a wig, and women's clothes to avoid being identified. Although he was affected, Woo Byok does not fear Kang Ho because he had extinguished the fire he himself started, which allowed the protagonist to make the connection with Woo Byok that he so desired. In a way, Woo Byok finds Kang Ho's determination admirable. Returning to our protagonist, after the bathhouse, his mother took him to his new home. However, Kang Ho didn't adapt to the clinic and felt abandoned, so at the first chance to escape, which was on the very first day, he left out the door and even injured his nail while going to the family residence using his wheelchair. But the most difficult feeling to manage wasn't this, because when Kang Ho arrived home, he encountered his mother hanging, trying to end all her suffering. In an act of desperation, the protagonist summoned unimaginable strength and lifted the lady, who barely survived. Young Soon, it seems, along with regaining her life, received something even more precious: hope that her son would return to who he was. But for this, she realized she needed to push Kang Ho to his limit. Immediately after saving his mother, shaken by the whole situation, Kang Ho ran away again, and along the way, he met Mi Ju, who set aside all past grievances and supported her friend. During their conversation, Mi Ju attempted to explain to Kang Ho that if his mother tried to abandon him, it was for a good reason, as she would never do so in her right mind. These words sparked curiosity in the protagonist. He asked how Mi Ju could be so certain of what she was saying, and she commented that someone once did that to her. However, Mi Ju would never be able to know the reason that led the person to do it, and Kang Ho has no idea she was referring to him. Thus, when he returned home, the protagonist asked his mother why she abandoned him, and Young Soon decided to tell him about her illness. After this difficult conversation, Young Soon focused on making her son walk again, so in the following days, she put him in various situations intended to rekindle what had once enabled him. With much persistence, Young Soon managed to see and help her boy walk. In the next scene, we turn to Mi Ju. We see a man who dated the former partner of that salon, who stole money from him and owes him, which is why he is in the village. The man wants Mi Ju to take over the woman's debt, and the worst part is that Mi Ju's children think this guy is their father because, to avoid revealing the true identity of the children's father, Mi Ju once lied that it was him. This drama is soon set aside when everyone from the village gathers to present a gift to Kang Ho, hoping to cheer Young Soon up a bit. However, the real surprise for the neighbors was seeing that Kang Ho was walking perfectly and that the motorized wheelchair, fortunately, would no longer be needed. While watching all the neighbors enjoying a barbecue to celebrate Kang Ho's recovery, Young Soon decided to go to the man who wanted to get rid of the pig farm to make peace. She explained her illness and how the farm was the only thing she could leave as an inheritance for her boy, who, with his recovery, would be able to manage it. Young Soon then asked Hua to allow the family to continue with it and not to reveal her secret to anyone. Later that day, Samsik once again felt jealous because of the way Mi Ju still viewed and felt things about the protagonist, so after drinking, he decided to propose marriage to her, but of course, Mi Ju put him in his place and refused the proposal. The next day, we see Young Soon being called again to the old building where Kang Ho lived, and there, the concierge handed her a letter. It turns out that before the accident, the protagonist had given a document to the concierge and asked him to deliver it to his mother if anything ever happened to him. Upon reading the letter, Young Soon was puzzled, as if Kang Ho had already known about the danger he was facing, and when she asked the man, he also had no answers to these questions because he did not even remember. Things get even stranger when Young Soon, who never stopped searching for Kang Ho's ex-fiancée's number, discovers that the woman is getting married again. In the following days, Young Soon taught her son how to behave and what to do when her time comes, but while relaxing one night, she understood what he meant in that letter, and upon opening a family photo frame, Young Soon found a memory card. From here on, we will learn a bit about the content on the card. The first thing we see is Kang Ho's diary, where he explains the path he took and what motivated him to make certain decisions. As we already knew, Young Soon was a significant influence on his choices, and revisiting these memories was not easy for her. When the protagonist began trying to unravel his father's case, even before taking the bar exam, Kang Ho sensed something was wrong. In the midst of his story, the protagonist also commented on the time he spent with Mi-ju and how he hurt her when he left. Continuing to investigate those who gave false testimonies against his father, Kang Ho received several apologies, and his doubts about the truth gradually diminished. Thus, the protagonist sought connections to link him to Woo Bayak, as he had already clearly established the part regarding the former chief prosecutor's daughter. Seeing this part of Kang Ho's diary was enlightening even for us viewers because we discovered that the mother and son he was supposed to have disposed of are actually well cared for in another country. The man had just staged everything. In addition to explaining all his actions, the protagonist also apologized to his mother for the way he was behaving, and now Young Soon understood everything that was happening. Now that life had given Kang Ho a second chance to leave all this behind, Young Soon made the decision to protect him and burned all the files he kept that could endanger him. However, Woo Bayak arrived with his men just then, and as Young Soon asked him to leave them in peace, showing that she had burned all the evidence they had against him, Kang Ho stood up, acting as if he were back to his old self before the accident, and asked if Woo Bayak wouldn't prefer to discuss this matter with him alone. But my dear viewers, this was just a nightmare, though I can't say until which point, because there is a barrel with burned documents in the courtyard. What did you think of these episodes? I hope you enjoyed the summary. Please leave your suggestions in the comments and subscribe. If you liked the video, please like and share to help me out. Until next time.